the congressional people themselves have a sense that this could be a really, that this could either be a change or really close?
I've talked to my Republican colleagues, and a lot of them are saying that they're going to lose a lot of seats. And both Democrats and Republicans think that either Democrats will take the House or they'll come really close. Either scenario tells you that blue dogs, people in the middle, will play a very pivotal role. Do we take the House or not?
Yeah.
And that is going to be very difficult, I believe, because of redistricting nationally. But you see this, this wave coming.
Yeah.
But to me, campaigns are very easy. Campaigns are about two things. You identify your voters, and you make sure they turn out. Why did Lou lose in those two elections? Because my voters didn't show up to vote. Nationally, it's going to be the same thing. Is there enough out there to get the Democrats to turn out, or is there enough for Republicans to turn out? And that's what you saw, for example, in Alabama. Republicans lost the U.S. Senate seat. Talked to my colleagues from Alabama. I said, hey guys, what happened, man? You lost a big one.
Yeah.
You know what they told me? They said, you guys didn't win. It's that our people didn't show up.
Yeah. So something else about the workings of Congress. I've heard that speculation as to one of the reasons that Ed Royce is not seeking re-election to his seat is because he had he was chairman of, was it the Foreign Affairs Committee. And under the Republican system, they kind of rotate those seats. And
there are term limits, that's correct.
He was going to lose that chairmanship, and why go back to the bottom of the totem pole when you've been running it? And that's why in some cases you see some of these Republicans deciding not to run again. Maybe also a tougher election than what they were expecting. But do you buy into that? Do you think that has something to do with?
I think both of those factors are probably significant. He wasn't going to have a cakewalk into his reelection. He was going to have to work hard. But I know Ed Royce. He works hard automatically. He had a very prestigious chair position. He still has it till the end of the cycle, chair of foreign relations. And he and ranking member Engel on the Democratic side did a lot of good things internationally. And to think as a human being that I'm not going to be doing this anymore, God knows where I'll be in a year, I think that's enough to say, it's time to move on to something
Now, how do you
else.
feel about that, though? Because the Democrats don't have that system.
I wish we had it. I think we need to have that.
In other words, the idea that you're kind of term limited out of those chairmanships.
In the chairmanship, that's correct.
And why do you wish the Democrats had that?
I think within the caucus, you need to get people the opportunity to be policymakers at a significant level.
And of course, some people say that's why the Democrats, you see all these everybody complains the Democrat leadership is so old. That's in part because if you're old, you have a chairmanship and you never, you basically never lose it, and that it's hard to develop that, bench or the
That's
farm
a
system
perspective that is being voiced right now, and that's a debate, a discussion we're having on the Democratic side.
Do you think anything will come of it?
Not sure. Not sure.
But you're in favor of it.
I think it's important that folks be given the opportunity, yes, to make some policy.
Might help you get on a
60-year-old freshman here.
Now, of course, your predecessor, Loretta Sanchez, had a pretty good on Homeland Security, right? She was a pretty high-ranking member there.
She is a ranking member on Homeland. I'm a ranking member on the Homeland Subcommittee. So I was lucky I got a nice ranking position.
Yeah. So on this show we just did, is there anything that you wanted us to get to that we didn't cover?
I think it's important for people to understand our political environment. We touched on it. I don't think we can ever talk enough about it. But think about what's going on politically. This election in November is very important to both parties. So both parties are going to be fighting it out in the media. And you will have a lot of amped up debate. And I'm hoping people can distinguish between the debate and what's really going on.
When they talk about the American people seem to complain that nothing gets done. But is the electorate really interested in cooperation and compromise? I often get the feeling that that's what this past election and the support for Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders was all about. Is it people said, look, this system of compromise hasn't gotten us anywhere. It hasn't done me any good. So let's just fight it out.
I think that you make a good point, which is Mr. Trump and Mr. Sanders were from outside the system. Mr. Sanders is not a Democrat. Mr. Trump really wasn't a Republican. So you have periodically these kinds of situations. When Bush ran for re-election, you had that Texas individual that ran,
Ross Perot.
Mr. Perot, and so you do have periodically. I think the issues are important, though. People in office have to listen to what the issues are. What are the issues? To me, the American dream again. It's not hard. My job. For example, I'm not hearing anybody talk about Kimberly-Clark in Fullerton that is closing down 400 good-paying jobs, $30 to $40 an hour, are going to disappear from California. I'm not hearing our elected officials talking about making sure that biotech firms in California are doing well, make sure they stay in California. I'm hearing the biotech firms saying, we're going to move to Boston, maybe. I think those are the issues we got to talk about.
This is
about
great.
the work.
This is good stuff.
That's
Why
what I think is
Kimberly
important.
Clark closing?
Because of the regulatory environment in California.
But that's your party. And now I can see
no,
someone saying, that's your party, Lou.
And that should be part of my job. And I've had the opportunity. I've advocated for Kimberly-Clark. I've advocated for manufacturing in California. And I have pushed hard to the best of my abilities. And I keep doing it.
So then when the Trump administration comes out with these, they want to reduce, granted what they're talking about right now are cars, but in general, the Trump administration would be saying this is California's stringent air quality and regulations drove Kimberly-Clark out of California.
There are some regulations that I think are excessive. There are other regulations that I think are not excessive. The EPA mandate for more efficient fuel cars, I think that's good. I struggled with that for many years. But you have more efficient cars, that means the other countries will be buying American-made cars that are more fuel efficient because that's what the market wants. But you got to push people to go in that direction.
So on Kimberly-Clark, you're basically taking the stance that, yes, the state should ease up.
What I voted for, okay, workers' compensation reform. We need to do that again in the state of California. Duplicate regulatory environment. We need to work on that. We need to address the incentives for them to stay. I'll give you an example. Talk about what I did 3-4 years ago when I was in the state senate. Pushed hard to give tax credits, change the tax code to make sure that the B-3 bomber was built in California. I helped lead the charge to keep those jobs in California. Yesterday, I took a tour, Northrop Grumman. They're building the B-3 bomber in California. That's good. That's what we need to do in California. Remember that those guys that work on the assembly line, making those jets or those cardboard boxes, those are the jobs we need.
Okay. Well, and so let's go from the assembly line to the high-tech facility. You mentioned that you've talked to biotech entrepreneurs, business people who say they're thinking of going to Boston. What's that about?
I think it's the regulatory environment, making sure that it doesn't become so cumbersome that it's very expensive to.
But are they doing that? Are they going? I mean, Boston's not a low-cost place to do business either. I mean, maybe are they moving because they say, hey, there's more brains there, or there's more venture money, or there's something there?
There's more brains and venture capital in the state of California, and what we've got to do is double down on that. We can talk about regulation, but also education. That's the other issue people talk about: the trained workforce. How many scientists, how many math majors are we putting out right now in the state of California? One of the big, fights I used to have, and I fought wherever I could and took my small victories at the state level, is trying to finance, support our public universities. When I went to school 40 years ago, I paid $90 a semester in tuition. Today, it's $3,000-$4,000. That is not good for a middle class. Those are the issues we have to focus and double down on in the state of California at the federal level. I support more Pell Grants. I support more research money going into our state universities, even our USCs, even our Stanfords. Why? Because that's what gets you the new drug, the new miracle cure for the next century. You and I are kind of getting old, my friend. We're going to need those new knees. We're going to need that stuff to keep us alive, right?
Bingo.
I'd rather
Now
have it done, researched, and developed and created in the good state of California.
where the weather is beautiful too.
That's why we live here.
Okay, Lou, thanks so much.
Thank you, my friend.
Great having you on.
Thank you.